Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Kopi with Craig. And today we are on location somewhere in the Choa Chu Kang area. We're in Jalan Lekar. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to where we are right now. We are at a place called Acres, okay? And joining me on the show is the co-CEO of Acres. And welcome to the show, Kalai.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Welcome to Acres, Craig.
Thank you. So just for the benefit of our viewers, right? ACRES is actually an acronym, isn't it?
Yes, it's an acronym.
Yeah. So what does it stand for? It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it stands for Animal Concerns Research and Education Society.
Animal Concerns
Research and Education Society.
and Education Society. Okay. How long has ACRES been around?
We were founded back in 2001.
Oh.
Yeah, by Singaporeans, founded by Singaporeans.
Okay. Who's the founder?
There were quite a few founders, but I would say the main one is, of course, Louis Ng.
Isn't he a member of parliament?
Yes, right now he's a member of parliament for
okay.
Lisun East.
Okay. Is he still actively involved in ACRES?
No, he's not actively involved in ACRES anymore. Of course, we go to him for advice at times. But other than that, ACRES is running by the current co-CEOs.
So you were saying co-CEOs, so there are two CEOs. Who's your co-CEO?
The other co-CEO is Amberisi Bhupal, my colleague, and she manages the advocacy arm of ACRES.
Oh, okay, interesting. So at least the workload is shared, not everything falls on your shoulders.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So a bit about you. I mean, how did you get started in this ACRES thing?
Wow, it's a very long story. My background is design. I'm an industrial designer by training. Studied in LaSalle, and I was working as a designer. But I think when I started in the working world, I didn't like sitting down at a desk job. I like to be moving. And at that time, I already knew ACRES. So I was volunteering here for their advocacy projects, actually, and their campaigns. Then, I don't know, slowly I liked the place here. I like the people here because I've always been passionate about animal welfare and animal issues. And somehow or other, I just joined ACRES through the months and the years. Yeah.
So you joined them? Were you a volunteer or like something before?
Yeah, I was volunteering at first, and then I left my design job, and I was looking for a new job. And that's when Louis came to me and it's like, hey, no, we have a job opening now. Do you want to try it? So I said, why not? It was meant to give me the opportunity to pass time while I look for a full-time job.
Okay.
So actually, I was just looking at working here for 3 months, and that 3 months changed to 15 years pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you were just like, try like that, something like that.
Yeah, I needed money. I had school bills to pay for my degree and my diploma and all that. Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, all right. So when I mean, what was the main, like the transition for you from like, just to try and then suddenly you say, okay, when Louis offered you the post or the position and then you decide, what was the tipping point for you?
I think the tipping point was actually something that Louis told me, because at that time the pay that was being offered was around $900.
$900.
I had my regular bills to pay. I had 2 educational bills to pay.
Oh, wow.
Plus, it was a difficult time for me because I was expected to slowly take over my family expenditure, house loans and stuff. So with 900, I couldn't do that. But Louis told me, take a leap of faith. I remember that phrase. And he's good at talking. He's really good at talking.
Convincing you, lah.
To convince me. And that's what happened. So I decided to take a leap of faith. And the other thing was the fact that obviously I come from a design background. I had no knowledge, scientific or hands-on knowledge with animals, other than the fact that I, like them and I want to protect them, I want to save them. But it's making the connection. So most people will be like, hey, you study design. You're working with animals, no relation. But there is a deep link and relation. And actually in design, we were taught to see as a problem solving tool. How do you use creativity? How do you use innovative solutions to come up with solutions to problems? And that's what I've been doing at ACRES all these years. Because in a charity, there's endless problems. How do you overcome them?
Right.
So once the link is made, it's actually very addictive. So besides helping animals, I was also applying what I've learned. And that really got me really involved in the work that we're doing.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, how many people are actually working for Acres right now?
Right now, plus minus about 25 of us.
Full-time staff.
Full-time staff, including the advocacy and the rescue and rehab. Yeah.
When you mentioned
Excluding
about
the volunteers.
okay. So, I mean, so how many volunteers are there?
I would say we have about maybe 60 to 80 active volunteers. And in total, we have probably a few hundred, 500 to 600 in the
Oh,
background.
wow.
But in terms of volunteers that are really active on the ground for rescue and animal care, it's about 50 to 60. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You think your volunteers do actually get involved in the rescue as well of wildlife?
Correct. So our rescue volunteers are highly trained,
Huh.
and some of them have been volunteering longer than I've been working here actually.
Oh,
And yeah, for the rescue part, we are very particular. So any new volunteers need to be trained,
yes,
and
of
then they will
course.
shadow our current trained staff and volunteers to ensure, because you're out in public, you're handling real wild animals.
Yeah, yeah.
You could be climbing ladders. It can be dangerous. So you've got
Safety
to
is
know.
paramount,
Yeah,
right?
safety
When
is
you do
important.
something like not just for your own staff, also for members of the public,
Correct.
depending on where you are.
Yes.
So, I mean, the locations are there because Singapore is such a built-up area, right? And most people think that there are no wild animals or dangerous creatures that can be around, right? Okay, so interesting. Okay, so if let's say someone wants to be a volunteer, how do they do it for Acres?
The best way is to go to our website or follow our social media pages like Facebook. If you want to help out with the animals at our center, you just have to sign up, and there's usually a queue of people. Just got to sign up and find a slot for yourself to volunteer. For the rescue volunteering, we do bi-monthly trainings, trainings every 2 to 3 months, depending.
Right.
And you got to come for the 1-day training. After that, you got to shadow our trained staff to actually learn, because you know the theory of how to perhaps handle a bird or rescue a snake. Now you got to really put it physically to the test, to practice.
Correct.
And once you feel confident, and once we feel confident that you're able to do this alone or with another
Alone?
trained staff, then we'll let you go.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll graduate you.
oh, okay. So, so there must be a certain level of commitment for volunteers who wants to be involved in the kind of work, the rescue that you all do.
Definitely, we are looking for committed volunteers.
You cannot just, I feel like doing that, just come in and not sweeping the grass, I mean, sweeping the dead leaves or whatever. It's a bit
No.
more than that, right? Sure.
Unfortunately, we have encountered such problems before where people, it's on impulse, they want to try it out. Then they will come maybe another 5-6 months later. You will never get to a point where you're confident enough or you're trained well enough to handle the animals, and you won't graduate basically.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So would it be fair to say that most of your volunteers are people who are a bit younger? Because they are more concerned with environmental issues these days, global warming and then destruction of habitats and things like this?
Not necessary. You'll be surprised. Some of our rescue volunteers, of course, they could be students. They could be in their 20s and 30s, but we also have like grandmothers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we have volunteers who in their 60s who are like grandmothers actually, and it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have a wide range of I mean, the demographics are so there's no like particular like more males or more females or younger people or older people that
Not
join
at
you as
all.
volunteers.
Not at all. We also have a lot of expat community as well that help us.
Okay. But now I mean nowadays, as I was saying, because of the the awareness that the public have, like taking care of the environment, and look at what's happening in the US of A, the bushfires and all these things, right? And I remember something happened a couple of years back in Australia as well. Thousands of
Fires.
hectares or acres of, there was one of the images that stuck with me was the panda where the guy was giving the panda some water from the the mineral water bottle, right? Giving the poor panda some water to drink, because many millions of animals were destroyed in that Australian
Correct.
bushfire as well.
I think in Singapore's context, there's definitely more awareness now. And to me, I would say that COVID was actually the big tipping point. Yeah, and we saw it firsthand through our statistics as well. So when COVID happened, obviously we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't travel. So a lot more Singaporeans were actually exploring our own island, our own nature reserves. And that translated to a lot more awareness on social media pages. More people were taking photos of our local wildlife, sharing them. and all that. And that also explains why we were getting actually more calls to our rescue during COVID. We were like, what is happening? Because more people were finding things to do, finding ways to help, and all that. So that was very interesting. So COVID was a tipping point, and now there's definitely a lot more awareness about local wildlife. But what is important is that I think organizations like us or even the National Parks Board, we need to be able to guide and keep this awareness, make sure that it's focused in the right way so that people don't do the wrong thing. We don't want people to be keeping animals at home and stuff like that, which we saw a slight increase in more people bringing back wild animals, trying to take care of them at home if they were injured and all that. So there needs to be that guidance as well to
You
make
must
sure
at
that
least know what you're doing, right? Because you might be
correct.
doing more harm than good
Yes.
in that sense. But talking about following up on what you just mentioned, right? People tend to want to keep these animals as pets. What are some of the exotic animals? That's just one part of the question. The next part of the question, do people still actually go and bring in illegally and then buy them illegally from poachers or whatever, you know?
Okay. So some of the animals that we see, like at least at acres, will be like Indian star tortoises, pig-nosed turtles, ball pythons. Um, Ball pythons is a concern for us this year because 12 years ago, which was the year of the snake.
We are in the same cycle again.
Correct. So we even at acres, we didn't have that many ball pythons. I think we only had 2 or 3 which are exotic species. And then 12 years ago was the year of the snake. And in that year, so I think naturally people started buying them to keep them maybe for luck or anything. And by the end of 2013 to early 2014, we had rescued like 10 to 15 more ball pythons.
Oh.
So that clearly shows that people were buying these exotic snakes on impulse. Or it's a year of the snake. I need some good luck. They were buying them and keeping them, and then abandoning them or just releasing them.
Yeah, that is actually a very terrible practice, right?
Correct. And we hope that the same thing doesn't repeat this year because it's the year of the snake again.
Yes.
So that we are concerned about that.
Where do they get these snakes from? I mean, are they openly allowed? Is it legal to buy them or?
No, Singapore's laws are very straightforward and very strict. There's only so many animals you can keep legally. Even if we're talking about reptiles, there's pretty much only 2 reptiles you can keep. And ball pythons are definitely not one of them, so they're illegal to be kept. If you go back like a decade, there were many shops here that were selling them illegally in the background,
Right.
But now a lot of the illegal sales have gone online. So it's all about you just have to go online.
Online? So what? How you order it online and they ship it to you in a box? A poor animal will be dead by the time
You order it online. Maybe you need to meet the person.
Oh wow.
To exchange, yeah.
So is there a penalty for the owner as well for buying illegal wildlife? I mean,
yes, definitely. There's a penalty for wanting to buy for owning especially. But if you're the one selling, definitely the penalty will be higher for you.
Higher, definitely.
If you're the one smuggling, if you're the syndicate, then yeah. And a lot of times the people that get caught are the ones smuggling, but who we really need to go after are the syndicates behind the big ones. Yeah.
Oh, that is so sad, right? In this day and age, people are still doing it. Okay, next question. What are some of the more common, maybe or exotic animals that people have or brought to your center because they don't know what to do with it?
So I will say again, ball pythons, pig-nosed turtles, Indian star tortoises, leopard geckos.
Leopard geckos, wow.
Leopard geckos are very small gecko. These are the common ones. We have seen a lot of sugar gliders as well.
Sugar gliders,
sugar
wow,
gliders,
sounds very exotic.
Yeah, these are the very common ones, I will say. Also, I think in recent years, we are seeing some like rise in like tarantulas, exotic tarantulas.
Oh, are they like toxic? I thought the bite is toxic, right? For the
tarantulas?
Yeah. Wow. So
Just
what happens if we don't know how to handle them? Do they have anti-venom or whatever?
No, I think I don't know. I don't know whether this part I'm not sure, but maybe they can defang it or something like that. But usually, with tarantulas, you can tame it like any other animal. Of course, you must know how to handle them. Yeah. But the common animal, then we got sulcata tortoises, red-footed tortoises, Chinese striped neck turtles. So the list goes on and on.
Oh wow. So in your 15-year career, right, what was the most memorable rescue or happily injured animal that comes to your mind right now?
Wow. I had
Too
so
many to
many,
count?
too many to count,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of my most memorable rescues were all to do with birds
Oh, birds. Okay.
because I find them the most difficult to handle.
Ah.
Which most people be like, huh? Kalai, what are you talking about? You handle pythons and cobras, your team handles pythons and
Yeah.
cobras. I always tell them it's actually they're easier to handle. If you know how to handle, they're easier. For birds, remember, we're not catching animals, we are rescuing them.
So they will probably be injured because they need
They
help.
could be injured, but for birds, they're definitely injured. If you're going to be catching a bird that cannot fly, it's injured.
Right.
So how do you handle them in a way? What are the steps you take? And sometimes we have had cases where just last year we had a eagle that was stranded 6 or 7 stories high up in the tree.
Eagle.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was stuck. It was a very strange case, but basically we had to go to that height, 6 or 7 stories high,
Wow.
and that's where we had to rely on one of our volunteers, Gabriel. He's a certified trained tree climber. So we
Wow. I
had,
never knew there was such a training to be a
yeah,
certified tree climber. Is it an arborist? Or?
I think he's working towards being an arborist,
Ah.
but he's a certified tree climber. He
Okay.
does like tree cutting and all that.
Ah.
So he climbed up to 6 or 7 stories high and then we made a plan and we rescued the eagle.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was really adrenaline rushing. But if you ask me, my most memorable rescue, it is still something I always talk about, is the dolphin rescue.
Dolphin.
Yeah. So in 2018, there was a dolphin that was stranded off East Coast Park.
Uh-huh.
It was entangled in a fishing line.
Oh, wow.
And we got a call from members of public.
Uh-huh.
It couldn't dive deep. It had a lot of lacerations. So, we are trained to handle many animals at acres, but dolphins are not one of them. But when the call came, we just had to improvise and think what to do. So, me together with two of our volunteers, one of them is a highly trained volunteer as well. So we got into the water, got hold of the dolphin, cut all the fishing lines, checked for injury. There were a lot of injuries, but that's not something we could address at that point. But we released him on the spot, and the dolphin swam off.
Oh, okay. So at least, all right. So I thought you had to bring him, but you don't have any. I don't notice any.
No, we can't
Hangs
bring
or
the dolphin out. We did see injuries, but the injuries are not an issue because for marine mammals, the seawater helps to keep the
help to
infection.
keep the infection at bay. Right.
Yeah. So for a lot of dolphins, actually injuries like attacks from sharks and all that is quite common. They actually do well.
This is what nature will do to take care of them. So just curious, because you have so many of these animals here, right? Generally, what do you do? I guess the eventual goal of acres is to release them back into the wild. So not for adoption, right?
No, none of the animals at our center are for adoption.
Okay.
Whether it's our native wildlife or it's the non-native exotic wildlife that we rescue, they're all in the end, the end goal is to repatriate them or release them. For the native wildlife, we release them back into the wild in Singapore. For a non-native one, we try to send them back to wherever they are from.
Right.
This is not always possible, but sometimes it is, and we have done it before.
Repatriate them back to their country of origin.
Correct.
Oh, wow. This is quite an expensive process, right? I mean, usually it's to go by air, and then you need to quarantine the animals and
correct. So
like
the
this,
receiving the country of origin will need to quarantine them. There's flights that we need to pay for and all that, permits and stuff like that.
Right.
But the most difficult part about such projects is to find with the country of origin, to find someone there who wants this project to be done, who's passionate about the animals coming back home as much as we are sending them. That is usually the most important part.
Right. So there's a lot of coordination with inter-agencies, either within locally in Singapore or with the country of repatriation that you're going to send it to, right? Wow. So you're talking about funding, right? So, it's not easy. I mean, do you guys do fundraising?
Yes, we do
or
our
if the public
fundraising.
wants to make donations to acres?
You can visit our website. We have the link out there on our social media page as well. We need all donations we can. It's actually a bit more challenging for a charity like us to fundraise sometimes because sometimes we joke about it. We're not rescuing dogs, cats.
Precisely.
So when we are rescuing like pythons or cobras,
which people
unfortunately people see them in a different perspective, different light. So it's very difficult to evoke emotions in people to donate. But having said that, there are people out there who see the importance of our local biodiversity or our work with non-native animals, how much
Right.
suffering there is. So we have a stream of donors, and we need to build upon that. Also, we're trying to work on getting more corporate donors as well.
Maybe you should be like the zoo, as I'm not adopt a cage or adopt something. I don't know whether that works for you
Yes,
guys.
we have been doing that. Even our ball python enclosures, each enclosure is adopted by a donor as well.
Right.
And this year we are looking to expand our area, and when we do that, I think that's one of the approaches we will take, where corporates can adopt an enclosure.
Okay, that's a good thing there. And I guess public education is one of the areas that is quite important to acres as well, right?
Correct.
Because currently the space we are using seems to be like a conference area or whatever, whereby, so who are the people that come for your public education? Is it
So-
schools or mostly schools or?
So we have a few focus areas, but regardless, education is always the common theme, the main goal here. Whether we're doing rescue or whether we're doing education as itself, our goal is to raise awareness and educate people. This room here is the education center. So we have schools, we have corporates that come in for talks of different team topics as well. We also hold our rescue trainings here. We hold events here. So it's a multi-purpose area, but education is a very important part of our work.
Right. Oh, okay. So that is good. At least would you agree that people are a lot more receptive these days to the kind of work that you are doing, as maybe opposed to when you first came into the business about 15 years ago? Has attitudes changed quite a bit?
Yes, I will say on the whole, attitudes have changed. Even when we go out and rescue animals, we can see on the ground sentiments also. A lot more people feel for animals.
Yes.
Nowadays on social media, you will see, when there is a photo of a video of an animal that seems stranded, there'll be quick to say, oh yeah, the forests have all been destroyed. There's nowhere to go. Whereas, maybe a decade ago, people would be like, these wild animals, why are they coming into human areas.
Yeah.
So there's more, the attitude has changed the way that I think more people are understanding that, the human areas were forests, were home to animals once.
So they were forced out of the
Forced out. So I think people understand that a bit more. And people also understand that not every wild animal is trying to go out there and harm people.
Yeah.
That is a
Precisely.
misconception. So people are more understanding, but there's still a lot more work to do.
I'm sure. Then, I mean, I don't know whether that's under your purview, but then, like we read about the wild boars who attacked people in the Hillview area or whatever recently. The guy had 60 stitches on him. So does that make your job a bit tougher when you to deal with some public sentiment, like
It's
cow
definitely,
all the wild boars?
yeah, it's definitely very tough. On one end, one of the things that we need to clarify is very often people mistake two words: attack and defend. So sometimes the animal is not attacking someone; it's defending
Oh,
itself.
it feels threatened, right?
It feels threatened. So we need to understand that we have seen cases where somebody tries to provoke a snake, for example, and the snake strikes at the person, and they'll be like, "Oh, this snake tries to attack me." It's not trying to attack you; it's trying to defend itself.
Right.
For some animals, their mode of defense is attack.
It's attack, yeah.
So people need to understand that first. And when you talk about wild animals, they are not like dogs and cats. I think dogs and cats, especially dogs, more, when you're helping them, maybe they have the capacity to understand that this human is trying to help.
Because it's interacted with humans, probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that bond. You cannot expect that wild animals. For
Yeah,
us
yeah.
also, when we rescue wild animal, we don't expect that bird or the snake to know that we are trying to help it. No way. We are going to assume it's going to defend itself
Yes.
ferociously, and we are prepared and we're trained to handle it properly, the way that the animal is safe and we are safe. That's how we go about doing it. So in the same way for the wild boars also, a lot of times they are lost. Their forest, their home is gone. And sadly, I think in the past decade especially, a lot of the remaining small forests that the wild boars were in, were cleared in a very irresponsible manner or without putting thought into where the wild pigs would go. And when these things were happening, the wild pigs were stranded. We had wild pigs in the middle of waterway point, stuff like that. They know where to go, and they see people, they see vehicles, they get distracted, they get disorientated, and that's when conflicts happen. And they just tend to, just charge. And that's when they're not attacking people, they're just totally lost.
Yeah. I guess they get confused and
Yeah.
they don't know. So it do something instinctively, which is to protect. It thinks it's protecting itself.
Correct. Yeah, and
Alright,
they're powerful animals. That's why we've been trying to work with the agencies here to also tell them that look, all this needs to be pre-planned. You cannot just clear a forest and then like, oh no, what these wild pigs, they are a problem now, they're a menace. No, if you have pre-planned it and if you looked at the more humane methods,
Right.
whether it's sterilization, you're going to clear a forest, let's sterilize the wild boars, find humane ways. Not everything should be about culling. That is something
that is the most like efficient, and that solves
it's
the
often
problem.
seen as the solve the problem, the quickest way, the
Quickest way.
cheapest way, which we feel is not the correct. I mean, at least for Singapore, like the first world country, we should be taking more
Taking always
humane
the easy way out
Yeah.
of solving the problem, right? It was a wonderful time having this chat with you and understanding some of the issues and the problems, and we'll also share some of your nice videos that you have with us,
Yeah, sure.
with our audience as well on some of the rescues that you guys have done. So just to wrap this up, what do you see for acres, like maybe another 5 years, 10 years down the road? I guess you will still be here, right? And
Yeah.
and what do you hope that acres can achieve more in the local context?
I think for our rescue and rehabilitation work, we've been steadily improving. I mean, in 5 to 10 years, I think I would like people to see us as the one-stop place for whether it's education, rescue, whether you want to learn more about animal issues, about cruelty-free living, whatever it is. When you think of all this, to think of acres, we want our brand to be out there, to be a household name. So we've been building our capacity for rescue and rehab, and we are hoping to do the same thing for all the other focus areas. So whether someone wants to be a vegan because they want to help animals more by not eating meat, or they want to know more about cruelty-free living, use of leather, or they want to know more about the illegal wildlife trade. The moment they think about this, we want them to think of acres, to come here to learn more on the ground. So to really, expand in a way where not just expanding in terms of space, but also in terms of the knowledge that we can convey, and to also have a team of highly trained staff
And volunteers?
and volunteers, which also focuses on their growth as well.
Right. Okay, so well, folks, that sort of brings us to the end of this particular episode, and it was very nice having a chat with co-CEO Kalai from Acres. And if you hear something in the background, right, it goes. That's a sound you don't hear in Singapore much anymore. That's the crowing of the cockerel. And talking about that, right, just to digress a little bit because you're ending up now, they asked the preschool kids, right, in Singapore to draw a chicken. You know how they draw the chicken? The supermarket wrapped in the plastic.
Oh no! Okay.
It's true because they have never seen a chicken with feathers running around and on top of that hearing the chicken crow, But so urbanized, huh? So to the good people of Acres, continue the good work that you are doing.
Thank you.
And at the same time, because it's going to be the year of the snake, or is the year of the snake, so I please, I will encourage all people here and abroad, please do not buy on impulse an illegal wildlife. And after a while, you'll find that it loses its appeal. And the worst thing you can do is then release it back into the wild.
All right. Can I just add one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
I think one of the important things is when people want to buy illegal wildlife, they often have this argument that I know how to take care of this animal. I know how to take care of this snake. Why can't I keep one even if it's illegal? I think people forget that, syndicates that smuggle wild animals, they don't smuggle one by one. They smuggle usually in the hundreds and thousands.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of cruelty behind it. A lot of animals die. So no matter how you look at it, it's actually a very cruel trade. And the illegal wildlife trade is sometimes linked to other vices as well, whether it's drugs or human trafficking. So it's something, a really serious thing. And yeah, thank you for voicing out for people not to buy illegal wildlife.
Yep. So you heard that, folks, from Kalai himself. And thank you very much for doing this
Craig.
interview with us.
Yeah.
And till the next time, this is Craig signing off from Kopi with Craig. Have a nice day. Take care.